We talk a lot about AI making mistakes, a wrong answer, a hallucination, a bad output. But once AI is embedded into institutions, mistakes stop being the real problem. Because at that point, the system isn't just giving answers, it's making decisions. Decisions about insurance, about benefits, about medical care. And when one of those decisions affects your life, the question you eventually ask isn't, was this correct? It's who decided this? And increasingly, there is no clear answer. This video isn't about how AI works. It's about what breaks when prediction quietly replaces judgment. You've seen the letter. Maybe it was an insurance claim, a benefits application, or a medical procedure your doctor said was necessary, but a system said was not. The language is always the same. It doesn't say you're lying. It doesn't say your case was bad. It simply says, based on our review, the criteria were not met. When you call, the person on the other end is polite. They might even agree with you, but their screen shows a completed process, a decision that has already happened. You ask for the reason. They give you a code. You ask to speak to the person who made the decision. They tell you there isn't one. You aren't being told you're wrong. You're being told you don't exist as an exception. And in a system built for throughput, if you aren't a pattern, you aren't a priority. This is where an individual outcome turns into an institutional wall. We're often told these systems have humans in the loop, but in practice, that human is usually a messenger. Frontline staff can see the outcome, but not the inputs. Managers can review the case, but they rarely have authority to override the output without triggering risk, delay, or liability. Appeals don't go to a new decision maker. They route back into the same process. Same criteria, same structure, same result. Working as designed ends the conversation. Not because the design is perfect, but because no one is positioned to challenge it. Large systems don't optimize for correctness. They optimize for throughput. Millions of decisions move through every day. One wrong outcome is statistically invisible, even if it's personally devastating. Fixing your case introduces inconsistency. One exception today becomes precedent tomorrow. Consistency is safer than correction. So the problem isn't that the system made a mistake. The problem is that fixing it would require someone to own it, to sign their name to an exception, to say, the process was wrong, and I'm overriding it. In practice, no one is incentivized to do that. They're incentivized to follow the process that already exists. Once a system is trusted at scale, admitting it was wrong becomes more dangerous than letting the harm continue. And at this scale, the process is the authority. Listen carefully to how these decisions are described. The system flagged it. The model reviewed it. The criteria weren't met. No one decided. Nothing was judged. The language makes the outcome feel automatic, inevitable. But that language isn't neutral. It quietly removes the person who used to make the call and replaces them with a process. Language doesn't just describe how the system works. It protects it, because if no one decided, then no one can be held responsible. And when decisions are framed as outputs, authority no longer needs explanation. The system didn't make a choice. It just returned a result. So the question isn't whether AI makes mistakes. The real question is what happens when mistakes no longer count as mistakes, because no one is positioned to admit one. This is one example of a larger pattern I'm mapping in this series. If you want the rest of the map, you know where to find it.